of Singapore.
Yes.
First of all, if I just talk at face value and compare Singapore and Kenya, Jeff, the size of Singapore is 736 square kilometers.
Is that central province? Is that smaller than?
The size of Nairobi is 696 square kilometers.
Wow.
Therefore, Singapore and Nairobi are almost congruent in size. The size of Kenya is 580,000 square kilometers. It means that Kenya is 800 times bigger than Singapore. Then the population of Kenya is 58 million in number, while the population of Singapore is 6.1 million in number. The GDP right now of Singapore is close to around 4.6% today. And the GDP of Kenya is approximately around between that 4 and 5%. Therefore, it means that how else will the 58 million Kenyans fit in Singapore, which is a smaller country in terms of size? Jeff, there is no need of the state, of the government, of the president talking about Singapore if we have a blueprint in Kenya. For 40 years when KANU was ruling this nation, by 2002, we had an economic growth rate. Actually, I'm talking about the economic growth rate, not the GDP. Of Singapore is 4.6 and of Kenya is around 5%. The economic growth rate of Kenya as at 2002 was at 2%. Then when Kibaki took over, the economic growth rate shot to 7%.
7.1, I remember. Yes.
7%.
Yes.
Then in 2008, Kibaki came up with a blueprint and called it the Vision 2030. We don't need to go to Singapore. I want us to focus here. The Vision 2030, having come up, the projection was that by the year 2013, it ought to have had a two-digit number, which was approximately 10%. And by the year 2030, it ought to have maintained that 10% and even more. With the blueprint that we have, we had three pillars. The economic pillar, that was comprising of tourism, that we were to market our nation, and we were to come up with proper infrastructure and proper hotel industry to attract tourism in our nation.
Yep.
We were to talk about manufacturing, that we invest more in manufacturing, in construction industry, in the service industry, which we have the banking and the insurance industry. We were also supposed to talk about the micro, that is retail and wholesale, micro and small, medium enterprises. That is the Juakali sector, and were to be financed through cooperatives and SACCOs. Very simple, Jeff. Then we had the economic sector, then we had the social sector. The social pillar was supposed to take care of education, providing quality and affordable education, if possible free, because there was free primary education. Then in addition to that, healthcare, primary healthcare, affordable and of great quality. We're talking about proper environment, sanitation, clean and sufficient supply of water. Simple things, Jeff. Then the last one is the political pillar, where we were talking about the justice system, reforms in the justice system. We were to talk about the reforms in the electoral process to give us proper leadership, not what we have now. We were to talk about the management of the political parties so that we don't have the problems we are experiencing with my brother Ndindi Nyoro today.
Yep.
Then, Jeff, before all that, we were advised that there were basic things that ought to have been done first before we implemented the three pillars, the economic, the political, and the social pillars. And they were simple. Number one, the security of a state. That in the security, we were supposed to have proper police reforms. My brother and I will tell you today that we don't have a police service. We have a police force up to date. The defense was supposed to be so stable to handle terrorism so that there's stable security. Yeah. Not a nation that abducts her children, where tourists will be scared of coming to invest here. Because the other day at Thika Low Courts, you charge over 50 Gen Zs with terrorism charges. You call them terrorists. How can a tourist, how can an investor come to invest in this nation that is full of, in quotes, terrorists? Then we talk about the macroeconomic stability, where the prices of goods and services were supposed to be stable before we do any other thing. Inflation, stable. We talk about exchange rates, stable. Then the next one was so simple that they only required us to do proper infrastructure in the country. For us to achieve the 3 economic pillars: infrastructure, energy. Energy, right now electricity we produce close to around 3,800 megawatts. Yeah. Cannot run industrialization to grow a nation. Roads, airports, and ports. We were to talk about land reforms. Jeff, what can you do? Land is a factor of production in economics. The land reforms, the historical injustices were supposed to be cured. Look at a situation where a case involving dinner management versus the county government of Mombasa, where a parcel of land was sold to a person X, was given to the former President Moi. Then former President Moi sold it to a person X. A person X sold it to dinner management, a company. But that land was a public land. So the county government of Mombasa went to court. And it was resolved in an easy way, where the basic principles of the torrent system came up. The mirror principle, the curtain principle, the insurable principle. They came out clearly. We needed to solve such issues. We needed to talk about what my brother has talked about, the human capital development, matter skills. We train our people in matter skills so that we can have better masons. We can have better plumbers. We can have better engineers. Training of people properly to achieve this. But Jeff, we run away from all that. Then we come and tell you that, you know, it was bottom up. We ran away from the blueprint, we said bottom up. That bottom up promised a mama mboga to graduate from a kiosk into owning a supermarket. Yeah. From a boda rider riding a boda to owning a matatu. Not done yet, still in abeyance, suspended. Right now, we are talking about going to Singapore. We cannot go to Singapore, Jeff, if we can't provide the basics to a common human being in Kenya. Basic needs. We cannot go to Singapore when a common man is hungry. Jeff, a man, a woman toils, moils, wakes up very early in the morning. A dad going to Juakali. Our brothers riding a bicycle. Our mothers selling mama mboga. Some selling changa like my mother. Jeff, if you see women in a construction site carrying stones and shovel, working tirelessly, so that they can just get their next meal, so that they can just get their rent for the next month, so that they can get school fee for their children, so that they can get affordable education for their children. Jeff, what has happened with us? Where is the morality in us as leaders that we want to see Kenyans suffer and we still want to go to Singapore? Will you be going to Singapore with hungry people? Feed Kenyans first. Let them have energy. Then they will have a way to go to Singapore. They even know where Singapore is. You will not take them. They will go by them.